picture paints 1,000 words, but a video makes millionaires, right? And I love painting as much as the next guy, right? But sometimes it's fun to become a millionaire and impact thousands of lives. And what video does is it makes people fall in love with you, right? They feel like they know you and you're friends with them in a way that really can't be replicated in any other medium. And I've tried, right? The second closest is kind of podcasts, just because you're in someone's ears, or they can hear your voice, and people really react to even like whatever you're saying isn't necessarily what they react to, right? Like nonverbal cues, like the tonality of your voice, and how energetic and passionate you come off. I can't count how many times I've met my students in person, right, or people who've recognized me. I literally got Uber Eats like to my house. I think it was last night, and the delivery driver was like, "Wait, you're Kevin?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "We've been watching you for like almost 2 years. Like we saw you like from when you first started your Amazon channel. Like you totally changed our lives, right?" Which is crazy. But everyone always says the same thing. They always say, "I feel like I know you," right? And I've caught myself saying that to other YouTubers I've met, because you really do feel like you know someone, right? And for people to buy from you, they have to feel like they know you and that they trust you, right? And the fastest way to build rapport and to accomplish that, right, to accomplish, making someone feel like they trust you and they know you, is through video. And that's why YouTube is the most powerful platform in the world, right? There's other reasons, like the continuous nature of it, the fact that somebody can watch a video that you make a year from now and still make you money. With all other forms of social media like Instagram and things like that, you have 24 hours and then it rarely, if ever, gets watched again. YouTube is the most permanent platform in the world, right? And inside your membership platform is your time to prove that the money your students spent on your course is worth it, right? And 99% of the videos I make are just screen share, right? If you spend time on organizing your thoughts on paper and your outline, it's going to be a massive benefit. When you go to record your videos, you can just follow along your outline, just like I am right now, right? Adding additional clarity, adding more examples, adding stories, adding your own experience, doing so in a deeper way, right? And most of the videos that I record are done in a single take. But the only reason that I'm able to do that in a single take is because I have my outline fully fleshed out, right? I have these PDFs fully fleshed out. And videos are perfect for tutorials for technology, right? Like I'm not gonna sit through and type out click here, click here, click here every single time for all technology, when somebody can just watch a tutorial and do it 10 times faster, and then it doesn't waste my time, right? Video is the perfect medium by which to teach technology. And so what I do is I'll commonly use video for more intense technological walkthroughs, like you'll see in chapter 5 and chapter 6 a little bit, and then in bonus number 3, especially when we go out to create our evergreen webinar, right? Just remember to leave yourself notes in your course outline saying, we're going to discuss this in detail, or you can even mark it as a video tutorial section like you'll see later on in chapter 5 and things like that. And it's so important to remember the power of certainty, right? If two people say the same two ideas, right? Or somebody says that the world is flat and somebody says that the world is round, the person who seems more certain and who comes off more confident and seems like they know what they're talking about will win 100% of the time, right? And maybe that's not the best example because, most people who follow science know that the earth isn't flat. No offense if you're a flat earther, but I'm very confident that the world is flat, is round, is a sphere, excuse me. So be confident and your students will believe in you, right? And they'll feel confident themselves. Confidence is intoxicating, right? It's the same thing with relationships. Nobody wants to go be with a girl or a guy who's very insecure, right? Because insecurity is also contagious. When someone is insecure around you, you feel naturally uncomfortable, right? When someone's very comfortable in their own skin, very confident, you feel that same way, right? And I say this because you're now the expert, right? You're no longer in a position to say, it depends, right? People want to be told exactly what to do. It doesn't depend anymore, right? It's not enough from your perspective as the creator to say it depends. You now need to evaluate the choices and give your well-researched and well-educated opinion about which software to choose, right? You don't say, well, you could do ClickFunnels or you could do Kajabi, right? It really depends on what you want to do. right? You say what your opinion is. You say, I personally use ClickFunnels for this reason, this reason, and this reason, and that's what we're going to be teaching, right? And 99.9999% of people will love that, and they'll just follow what you say. And it's that simple, right? And once all chapters and lessons within the chapters are created with accompanying Word documents, we're going to need to start recording, right? Record one shared screen video for each section, right? Each section, edit and export, right? But by edit, I literally just mean basically nothing, right? Just making sure that the intro and the outro are tight and there's no loose kind of silence or anything like that. Because most of the time, if you have a well-formatted outline, you're going to finish and record, or you're going to finish and have your content done in a single take. So there is no editing, right? But what you do want to do is you want to export and save two things, right? If you're going to use Camtasia, which I strongly recommend, right? What you want to do is you want to save the file as a Camtasia file. What that allows you to do, and here I'll actually show my screen right here. So the DCS videos. So I save the Camtasia files as 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, depending on which section it is in chapter 4. But I also will export all of these files. You can see right here, like this is an MP4. So it's the Camtasia file in case I need to edit anything in the future, right? And then it's the exported file that I'll then upload to Vimeo as the final MP4, that's the one that I'm gonna embed. And don't worry if that sounds complicated. We're gonna show you exactly how to do this once we get to the section in Vimeo, showing you how to actually upload and embed your Vimeo hosted files inside of your membership funnel, right? But the point is, both save the Camtasia file so you can edit it later on, and then also export it, right? So there's two files you want to do. And so after you do that, right, you want to make sure that you name each file the actual name of the section, right? So when I finish recording this video, I'm going to name it, 4-7. A picture paints 1,000 words, but a video makes millionaires, right? And when you do that, it's going to save you a lot of confusion. It's going to save you a lot of time down the road if you ever need to update things, like because softwares and things like that change all the time. Sometimes you have to update your course videos. And so if you have the editable Camtasia files and you have the MP4s and they're all named congruently, it's going to save you so much time. I can't even describe to you how much time I've wasted because I didn't do this. So just use my examples, use my experience to be your advantage, right? And for now, just simply finish your outline. Finish these PDFs. Once your outline is done with chapter names, with part names or section names, then record your accompanying videos after, right? And name each video the same title as the chapter and part number. So for clarity right now, what you're reading is my course outline. I write everything I want to say, and then each part of each chapter becomes its own video, right? So chapter 4, section 7 is the one we're currently recording right now, right? You want to have 5 to 8 chapters. I found that any less than 5 overall chapters, and to make this clear, so I used to call them modules. This is one of my older courses. So now I call it chapters just because I like it better. But you can call it modules if you prefer. I would recommend calling it chapters. It sounds a little bit more professional. And it's what I do for DCS. So you can see chapter 1, module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, module 6, right? There's also 6 modules in DCS. You'll notice that I don't have 37 modules, right? But I also don't have 2. You want to give people what they pay for, right? You want to give people the perception that you're giving them a lot. And the way that you do that is by having multiple different chapters, and you have multiple different sections in each chapter. And so have at least 5, no more than 10 chapters, and then you want to have a number of different sections inside the chapter. So this is module 1 or chapter 1. You can see that there's part 1 here, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11 parts in chapter 1 for my Facebook course. I believe in this section there's something like 11 parts as well. And so you want to make sure that each chapter has enough meat in it to feel substantial, but not having, any kind of superfluous, unnecessary fluff, right? And it makes it significantly easier to track things. And the farthest we're really going to go into this module is to finish your course outline, right? Record videos for each part of each chapter, right? Each section of each chapter. I use Camtasia, like we talked about before, to record my screen, save the Camtasia files, and then export the MP4s as well. I name the videos the appropriate section name in each chapter, and then I export them onto my desktop, right? And I literally save them in a folder called DCS videos, right? Here's chapter 1, here's chapter 2, right? I'm literally doing what I'm teaching you guys how to do as we speak, right? And so it's going to save you a lot of time doing it this way. Because whenever you put something out there for the first time, it's going to feel wrong. I promise you it will. When I first created the Amazon Ninja course, it felt so wrong, right? I didn't know if I included enough content. I didn't know if I included, too much, too little. I had no idea, right? Because I had no baseline. I had nobody to tell me that you should have, five chapters, give or take a few, right? I had nobody to tell me that each chapter should have 10 sections inside of each chapter, give or take a few, right? None of these things are in concrete. It's just to give you a general idea so that you're not just stumbling through the dark like I was, right? When I first made a YouTube video, it felt so wrong. When I first got on the phone and had a consultation for proof of concept, right, it felt so awkward. That's just how it is in the beginning, right? But it's so critical. It's the most critical thing possible that I could teach you, that you must take imperfect action, because it translates into taking big leaps forward, and imperfect action becomes experience, right? And the funniest thing happens. The second time you make a course video or a YouTube video or a consultation call, it feels so much easier because you already have formed that new neurological pathway, that new experience, that new habit in your brain, right? DCS is the polar opposite of most trainings. It's the polar opposite of most societal norms. Society has literally become commonplace to give you sympathy, right? And to try to mold things to fit you rather than the training being the way that it should be and molding you to fit the training, right? DCS is the opposite of society. Most of the time, it's you that needs to change, right? Not the training itself. The training is proven. The training has been proven by, countless people who've come through the program, right? I've witnessed over 10,000 people come through my trainings and have grown myself from absolutely nothing, right? 0 followers on any social media to hundreds of thousands of followers and more than $10 million in sales in significantly less than 2 years, right? I have literally no fraction of a doubt in my mind that I could make hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars if I wanted to, right? It's a fact in my mind. I've made such a huge transformation for myself and for thousands of other people, and I've seen them grow into literally new people, right? It's not a random act of luck. It's because I chose to make a mental evolution and commitment to myself. And when your mindset evolves, your life and your business and your relationships and your happiness and your fulfillment quickly follows, right? And the quicker that I can get you to take responsibility for your life and for your actions and for your thoughts and for everything, the second we get you to understand that where you are in life right now is all you're doing, you've chosen to evolve, right? And you've chosen to build the person that you are right now. It's you, right? Society tells us as kids and, later when we grow up to just be you, right? You're just who you are, right? It's what you've been given, and you shouldn't forget where you came from, right? And I have a very strong opinion about that saying, that sentence, right? Because the second I started to achieve success, people, my friends and people that I had grown up with said, Kevin, you've changed, right? It's human nature to question yourself. And when you see people having success around you, right, and you're in the same spot that you always have been, you kind of start to think like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Like, how did he do that, right? How did he leave the cubicle? How did he buy all those things, right? How did he do it while I'm still here? Is he smarter than me? Is she smarter than me? How do they do it? Right? And when people question themselves, they start to panic, right? Because most people don't like change. They like to stay where they're at, right? They like to stay inside their comfort zone. And what happens is your friends or your family or your coworkers or people, who you're are in your life right now, or people who are in your past life, at your past job, what's going to happen is they're going to attack you when you try to leave that same comfort zone, right? Because what happens is they fear your success, because your success makes them question themselves and their own choices in their lives that has gotten to them and kept them from actually kind of evolving to the next level, right? And so what society says is stick to your roots, right? Be authentic, just be you, right? Be authentic, I'm sure that you've heard that 1,000 times. And I've come to realize you can teach somebody how to do Facebook ads, right? And they might go from $1,000 a month to $3,000 a month, or $5,000 a month to $10,000 a month, but they're not going to have earth-shattering results, right? Life-changing results, DCS results. The people who refuse to change anything about themselves, about their mindset, about their worldview, right, and just want to make a few $1,000s more per month, they never get life-altering results. And why is that, right? The people who are open-minded about making improvements and focus on their mindset rather than the money, right, on the impact rather than the money, they're the ones who end up making the most money, right? It's such an interesting kind of dichotomy in life. And some of the most successful people on earth will admit they made who they are today, right? Tony Robbins, I saw him in person at one of the ClickFunnels events. He often says he wasn't born Tony Robbins, who Tony Robbins is now, right? It's not who he is. It's not his roots. It's not where he came from. It's not him being authentic, right? He made Tony Robbins incrementally over time through self-reflection and careful analysis and experimentation and consistent effort to improve, right? Becoming truly great requires consistent incremental effort. Michael Jordan wasn't born with a basketball in his hand, right? He wasn't born as the best player on earth. He had to evolve and grow into that. And in fact, he was cut from his varsity team in high school. Think about what would have happened to most people if they were cut in high school, right? They probably would have just given up. They would have thought, basketball wasn't for them. They would have moved on to find the next thing. Most people told him he'd never be good, but he still did it, right? We've come to believe that we are inherently something, right? We are good at basketball or we're not, right? We are good at technology or we're not. But everyone's born the same way, right? We're all born the same way as helpless babies, right? And the skills and everything that we acquire, we have to go out and get them no matter what anyone says or anyone thinks, right? And so it doesn't matter how successful you are now or how successful you are in 6 months, right? Whether you're making $1,000 a month or $1 million a month, right? If you close your mind to the idea that you need to consistently learn and evolve and improve yourself and from a productivity perspective and from a fulfillment and happiness perspective in your business, in your personal life, in your relationships, right? If you close your mind to the fact that you need to have an open mind, right, and you need to be able to have self-reflection and experiment and change and evolve and improve, if you're closed-minded to that, right, you'll never be able to achieve true success, real meaningful success, both financially and just in your life in general, right? Because nothing matters, no amount of money matters if you're not happy and you don't enjoy your life. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this section, right? I know that we're intentionally kind of doing a little bit of repetition when it comes to some of this mindset stuff. I'm trying to describe things in different ways and make different connections, different neurological connections, different stories, different examples, different metaphors, different phrasings, right? So that it really kind of becomes cemented in your mind. Because if you can adopt and enact the mindset that we discuss in DCS, that will be the biggest improvement in your life that I can possibly give you. Even if you ignore all of the tactical stuff that we're going to talk about in Chapter 5, all of the world-class Facebook ad stuff that we're going to talk about in Chapter 6, all of the implementation of all the tech and the bonuses. Even if you ignore all of that, but you adopt the mindset principles that are contained inside of DCS, you will make a categorical, life-altering, earth-shattering change in your life that will create an evolution in you that you've never seen before, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next.